I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, guess I like the lonely vibe. But they'll never know, cause I'm always on my grind. And I live a lonely life, and I'm never getting stressed, cause I gotta stay.
Hello everyone, welcome to our installation of the carbon fiber steering wheel, brought to you by Camaros and Coffee NorCal. We'd like to start off by removing the negative terminal from the battery, which is located in the rear. As you lift this panel and remove this cover, you'll see the negative terminal located right there. We're going to go ahead and grab our 10mm and loosen up the bolt. We are going to then remove the cable and right here, we're going to make sure we actually place something in the way so there are no accidental connections being made. Once we have done that, we're going to come around and grab 2 Allen keys, which is what we use, but you could use something similar like a small screwdriver to press in both sides and release the actual airbag.
And I'm never getting stressed, cause I gotta stay.
Here we are pressing in and releasing the airbag one space at a time, so one side at a time. So once we have one side in, go around, get the other side, pull them both out, the airbag will be released. Once you have that, carefully pull out the airbag as most of the connections are still connected. We will see 3 different connections, 2 on the main and 1 that is actually disconnected from the wheel itself. So we're going to grab 2 small screwdrivers here and pop open the release. From there we will just grab and remove the cable. We are going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Just pop the clips up and then we will be able to remove it with ease. Now we will look into the steering wheel and remove the clip from here, which we just press in as shown. Press in and release. From here, we are going to grab a T50 with a long breaker bar. Please do not use a small one or any kind of power tools. The key to breaking this bolt is steady, slow, constant pressure because of the Loctite used. The bolt isn't actually tight, there's just Loctite on it. Once you break the bolt loose with your breaker bar, go ahead and grab your ratchet and finish removing the bolt. There you can see the blue Loctite used. Make sure you place the steering wheel facing up with the arrow facing up, so when you put it back, it is aligned properly. We are then going to disconnect this top connection, and from there we will be able to remove the steering wheel. Now we have the steering wheel and the new carbon fiber Alcantara steering wheel that we will be installing. The first step will be removing this plastic fascia that goes over, and again, this is just slow pressure to pop it open. And it will take a moderate amount of pressure to actually get it off. Once it is all removed, there are 2 connections on either side that need to be removed before the whole thing can be removed. We'll zoom in here and show you. You press down and pull. Same exact thing on the other side. With this removed, we're going ahead and grab our T25 and remove 2 bolts on either side of the steering wheel holding in the paddles.
Cause I gotta stay.
Once the bolt is removed, we're just going ahead and remove the clip from the actual paddle, and then repeat on the other side. Now we're going to grab our T20 and remove 4 bolts holding in the audio and media controls. Once those 4 bolts are removed, we can just go ahead and lift them up.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, guess I like the lonely vibe. But they'll never know, cause I'm always on my grind. And I live a lonely life, and I'm never getting stressed, cause I gotta stay.
Here to remove the wiring harness, there is a zip tie holding them in. Now you want to be very careful and grab your wire cutters to release the cable from the zip tie, making sure to be very careful and not clip the wiring harness.
Cause I gotta stay.
From there, we slowly start pulling that connection out of its socket, making sure not to damage it. And the entire wiring harness comes apart and is ready to be transferred over to the new steering wheel. So now we will place everything just in the same order as we took it apart. We are going to place our media controls in and roughly align the wiring harness as it was in the other steering wheel. Make sure to feed the wires for the paddles. Place your media controls back. Wiring for the right hand paddle. And we chose not to replace the zip tie as the wiring harness tucked in fairly well.
Cause I gotta stay.
Again, the steering wheel is a direct replacement. We will now go ahead and reconnect the paddle shifters. T25 screws. Make sure not to over tighten. Right hand paddle. Once again, the T25 for the paddle shifters. And the T20 for the media controls. Now we have replaced everything back onto the new steering wheel. The next step will be placing the plastic fascia over again. Notice how the wires are all tucked, just as they were in the old steering wheel. Just like before, we are going to connect the two clips before we actually place in the plastic fascia. Once they are in, we are going to try to apply slow and even pressure on all sides to make sure we don't break any of the plastics. Now everything has been replaced into the steering wheel.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, guess I like the lonely vibe. But they'll never know, cause I'm always on my grind. And I live a lonely life, and I'm never getting stressed, cause I gotta stay.
Now, just as before, we are going to feed the two cables through the slot. Now we're going to place the T50 with new Loctite after being cleaned back onto the steering wheel. Once again, slow and even pressure. And torque down to 33 foot-pounds. The clips go back on very easily. Just make sure they are pressed down fully and locked. And don't forget the small connector that goes into the steering wheel itself. With all three connections replaced, we are going ahead and putting the airbag back, making sure both sides clip in. Now, reconnecting the battery. This is again a 10mm.
vibe. But they'll never know, cause I'm always on my grind. And I live a lonely life, and I'm never getting stressed, cause I gotta stay.
Here we are just testing, making sure all of the controls still work on the steering wheel. You can see the rev match controls, since this is a manual, do work. All of our media call controls also work. And that completes the installation of the carbon fiber Alcantara steering wheel provided by Camaros and Coffee NorCal. Now you can go onto their site and purchase the wheel yourself and do the installation in no time.